All right, just gonna make this one quick. It's just probably just gonna be just like a little follow up to um, Wednesday's lecture and then last week's lecture, which is pretty a little interesting, right? Because this week we pretty much just stayed inside of last week's previous range, and we didn't even break out because when we highlight last week's range, high and the low both were taken. And as you can see, this has pretty much stayed in the same range for the entire week. And after last week's closure, the only thing that we could infer was that this would come back and hopefully touch something. But although we did pretty much end in a weekly rejection candle to the upside for dollar, what we have to consider now is effort, right? One of the three major laws of Wyckoff is effort and just understanding how far it takes something to get to where it's going to go or where it goes. And that's pretty much where the momentum rules were derived from. Just the whole counting candles thing, that's derived from just understanding the law of effort itself. And the thing to point out here, though, is even though we had a very strong bearish movement that took out previous liquidity here, we pretty much came right back up and we're already touching the high. And you could see the same thing for EU, although this pretty much left relative equal highs and it's now struggling to continue lower. And the reason why I even took the buy position from yesterday was because I obviously saw this happen. I believe it was an M1 candle, but this happened I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday, where pretty much why is this not working? All right. So pretty much what I saw here, this was, I think, Wednesday or Thursday morning or something like that. But what I was looking at here was this candle here, because this is where the move started, and this was the low created. So if you go to M1, it's a whole lot more clear here. Whereas you have open, you do that. You can even do the closure itself. Either one is fine. Relative 50%. And once we go back, right, we came back and tapped that 50%. And like what I tell you guys, it's build a narrative, read what price is doing to build a bias to then execute off of that bias. So we see that this mitigation play occurred and it gave a pretty decent reaction, right? So when we're approaching the next day, right, so this is pretty much right before London Open. And what we're seeing is a type of range, right, that occurred during London. And what we can see happened here, obviously, was seeing liquidity be ran there and then mitigated. I believe it was a 5 minute. Yeah. So pretty much 50% of this 5 minute candle was mitigated. Right, 50% there. Happened during London. This was London's move. Right, we come final rally upon bullish diminishing bullish volume, sorry. And pretty much from there, that created the retracement to the downside that occurred during London. And the reason why I took my position was because I'm playing based off the narrative that occurred the previous day, which, as you can see here, this happened right at overlap open. And so I thought to myself, that's my point of interest, but that's me going based off of the fact that this taking so much effort for this to continue lower now. And on DXY, it's pretty much the same thing on that time frame. That, as you can see, price is now struggling, and the reaction given, right, would be sufficient to give me enough confirmation I want to take this buy, because I would probably hope for the daily closure that we had, which is an indecision candle. But the issue is that it's Friday, and then we won't know the next closure until Monday. And since we're pretty much taking so long to correct downwards, yo, please mute yourself, whoever that is. Thank you. Right, since it's taking so much effort for this to pretty much go up now, I wouldn't see this heading back down here anymore unless there's another catalyst that pretty much creates a very bullish dollar, and that would lead this down. But just looking at corrective structure itself, this is taking a lot of effort to come down now. And the reason also why I wanted to take this buy and hope for a very good daily closure is because of this reaction here, right? Just based off common sense looking at this, right? We have like, as I said, this was something to consider on Wednesday, was that this could have been a flag, a breakout, and then we're pretty much catching something. But the only way to catch this is if you have proper confirmation, which was this entry here that was developed from what happened at this wick here. So naturally, the only way for this to work out is if these highs are taken, right? Although the first target was taken here, right? Previous intraday high, that's my first target. That was where I took a partial, because I always have to consider that this can maintain structure as it did, and it could just take me out, right? But obviously what I like here is the fact that we pretty much had a range that we cut. Well, we not cut, but we pretty much broke through the range and then came right back. So that gives me a reason that this came down here for a reason, and that reason could have been that candle that we pointed out earlier. So that develops a bias for me, and I played based off of that bias to then get a reaction to the upside, take a partial, and now see what happens now that price is coming back to range discount, right? So now we have a scenario where it's going to be very interesting to see what happens inside the premium, not the premium, I'm sorry, the discount, to see that if we're going to take out these highs or not, right? Because we've technically taken out a level of structure here and created relative equal highs. So the only way for this to play out is if there is a catalyst that happens inside here that pretty much propels price to go higher. And if that's the case, we already have a very good daily closure. So if that were to happen and we get a good daily closure, then what happened here, right? This whole sequence here that you can see happened, that pretty much created a relative equal highs, came back in a discount, and then flew from there, is the same scenario that we're seeing on H4. Created relative equal highs, came back into discount, gave a reason to buy, and then hopefully takes those out. So if we see that happen here, that's the catalyst that's going to create this next target, which now leads this to be a swing trade. Does that make sense? And it's all built on from the law of effort, understanding the logic behind everything, and then just finding an execution played based off of the narrative that you read. Does that make sense? Right, and look, it's not even about the value part. It's just about being objective and reading what's being given to you. Because look, I've talked about this before. I know I have a couple new guys in here, but we've talked about this before, right? Who remembers that one topic where we spoke on what was the one thing that that we have in correlation to every other billionaire trader that's come before us, even when they didn't have laptops and computers? Do y'all remember that conversation? I don't remember what date it was though. But do y'all remember the conversation? That's what I'm trying to say. Damn, I got Rona. Oof. But yeah, anyways, you guys remember what I'm talking about though. So it's when you understand that the only thing that we have in common with every other billionaire that's come behind us, that didn't have access to a computer, a printer, maybe a piece of paper and something to draw with, a type of ink pen or something. But the one thing that we have in correlation is that they had price itself. And when you're able to pretty much have price and then sketch it out and then be able to read it, that's how you build biases that go for the long run, right? And so all this is reading the story of what you're given, and once you get that, you're now able to execute based upon it and see it happen before your eyes. And what has that been dumbed down to these days? Price is fractal. That's what everybody says, but they don't really understand it, because all they're doing is trying to copy and paste images, previous setups in a chart without pretty much applying the foundation behind it, right? So when you understand the foundation behind it and are able to read price, you're not able to comprehend and now create a projection. And that's the difference maker. That's where you're pretty much going to see true success, or at least see a touch of success that is then going to pretty much attract you forever. Right? Does that make sense? Right? So today's lesson isn't pretty much price is fractal. It's understanding what price is fractal means. Right? It's not just a matter of copying. It's a matter of being able to read, understand, and project. Right? And if you can do the same cycle every single time, you're going to see your hit rate increase because it makes sense. Right? Like I've said before, the first thing in the... Hold on. The first thing here does it make sense? Gaining that sense comes from experience, but not just experience alone, experience of pretty much operating in this manner, in this fashion. And all of that is now derived to price is fractal. And I hate saying that because it's very misleading to an extent, because now what you're trying to do is, like I said, you're trying to copy and paste, when in reality you should be reading the story that's given to you and then create a projection based off the bias that you see. Right? So I pretty much acted based off of that. And there's a possibility this can just rocket. Right? We now have higher low, higher low, higher low. But the only issue with me here is that these are Friday lows. So it would be very, very realistic to see those lows being taken out. Even the previous weekly low, which was this Sunday open right here, right, is to see that taken out and then came right back, gave a move, and you take that. But if price were to still continue now, that would be the reference point there, because you're now in premium. Oh, not premium, in discount, I'm sorry. And you're now looking to take out previous relative equal highs as a first target to then take out overall relative equal highs. Yeah, that too. Like when you're looking at it from a bigger perspective. Overall, something big is probably going to happen this week. You can see that the volume itself is declining, not just bearish, but bullish as well. So that's giving us a sign that something is going to happen. And your goal should be to catch a trend before it becomes a trend. So this is where the preparation comes, and you try to catch the move before it happens. Obviously, you're not trying to pick a low, right? You need it with confirmation, and you need something to play based off of, which is why I say to read the narrative and find a bias based off the narrative. But yeah, I mean, that's like a short explanation of all of that. I mean, it's the same thing. You can see it here. It's gradually decreasing as a whole. So something big is going to happen soon. Right, but this is obviously, like, volume itself, I only like to use it for entry. It's not like the breaking point of a trade. Because I know, I think Carlos asked me this. I don't know if Carlos is on the call. No, I don't think Carlos is on, but he asked me, and it's like, don't think too hard about it. That's the thing. Don't think too hard about it. If you see what you like, take it. If you don't. And if you don't take it and you see something that happens that you actually could have caught, then you note it and you move on. It's not that hard. Like, you don't have to think about it too hard, because once you start overthinking is when you get anxious, and when you get anxious is when you want to trade, and then you start taking trades that really make no sense. But yeah, that's pretty much a simple way of just describing narrative and just how to apply it. Because even though I could be wrong, the only reason like I'm even playing it like this way is because, like I said, you want to catch a trend before it becomes a trend. So depending on how this opens, it's going to be interesting to see how it opens, and then how the next couple H4 closures look, to then see how Monday's closure is going to look. Because Monday's closure will probably tell us just the direction that we're going to see this week. So although technically it's still looking pretty bullish, I'm just more so paying attention to the effort that's being shown to put it up there, or to take price up there. So if it's taking too much, eventually it's going to become unstable, and it's not going to be sustainable upon itself. So you're going to see it reverse. That's just naturally how price moves. But yeah, I mean, that's honestly my little rant for today. Like, in between Wednesday and Friday, I pretty much only looked at this and just wanted to see what would happen. Something cool to notice too is the volume differentials here. It's like price continues to push down on a high volume, right? But we had high bearish volume, but then we reacted to the upside, meaning that this probably played off of something to the left. So now that we're seeing the bearish volume gradually start to decrease, right? Although price is coming lower, it can create an unstable effect. And like I said, that's where you want to try to find an entry to then take it higher. Right? So it's not absolute, but they're good reference points. And it's just a game of experience, and just pretty much not predicting, foreshadowing. But yeah, does that make sense? But yeah, I mean, other than that, what questions do you guys have? I know we have a couple new guys. I mean, I don't know if you guys want to talk about your experience so far, or just whatever. I'm not trying to make it too corny. You guys know me. Um, just something to pass time here, because we did start late, but I knew that today's lecture was going to be short. I like to keep it short and simple. There's no point in trying to complicate this. Um, it's all a matter of experience. But let's see. Do you guys have something to talk about? Something to maybe bring up from this week? Whatever, blah, blah, blah. Because we probably have like a spare 20 minutes. 10 to 20 minutes. To be honest, I'm impressed so far, but no questions need to be, so I need to take it all in first. Yeah, exactly. And this is also why me and Sergio are going to implement a new system. Not in terms of new concepts, just a new system. Because, look, this is like pretty much what we talk about, me and Sergio. It's like, we don't market a damn thing, because when somebody joins us, they're expecting to learn about order blocks. They're expecting to learn about inefficiencies. So if that's what they're expecting, right, it's not necessarily us promising less. It's more so us trying to over deliver. And that's why, I never once mentioned, like, publicly, well, not until recently, but it's why I don't tell people that I read people's journals and give them, my personal feedback, because honestly, I get probably like 5 to 6 of those a week, and that's like, that takes me a pretty decent time to finish them, so since we're pretty much bringing in people, the enrollment rate is pretty much constant, and it's at a rate where it's very controllable, especially now that I'm gonna have a lot more free time than I'm done with my summer classes. It's, I don't know, it's gonna be pretty enjoyable, and I have a couple of more things coming too. But yeah, once I finish this one thing, we're probably gonna change the system up a little bit, and I think it'll be very beneficial.
Hey, I saw on IG on the Visionaries page story. You plan on putting a cap on the group once it reaches a certain amount?
Yeah. Look, so not necessarily a cap, but if enrollment rates get pretty high, me and Sergio are gonna have to do either an interview process or we're gonna do something, because like I never want to make it seem like I don't have enough time for every single member, because like anybody that's ever been in any group of mine knows that I've never not answered a DM, and that alone is so powerful for the the aspiring trader that's looking to learn from you, or not even just learn from you, just gain another perspective. Because although I don't like talk about concepts or course material or just mentorship material period, I don't talk about that like in any other group besides our own. So but either way, the fact that I'm answering to somebody that's actually looking to learn, that's so powerful, because that's something nobody else does. You'll probably hear from bigger names, but it'll probably be like their assistant or something, you know? So I feel like
Yeah,
if
because when
we're
you said
able to
that,
talk to you,
like, have you thought about, well, this is something you have to run through, like, I don't know the right word, but like the people, for example, the admins you have on the page, have you thought about, not as like, I don't know if employing them is the right word, but you know
yeah,
what I'm trying to
you
say?
mean like try to have more educators?
Yeah.
Yeah, but here's the issue: you people don't join this platform to learn to then teach. That's why you don't see people posting their. You see people post their snipes, their really good trades, their results. You see them post them in the group chat, but most of them don't post it like publicly, right? And it creates, a sense of control from our end, because people think that just because nobody posts results doesn't mean we don't have results. But that's good, because those types of the people that think like that, I don't want you in my group. So when people join, they join to actually learn, and when they actually learn, they actually go and enjoy their lives. Like, do I have any admins in here? uh Rav is in here. Who else is in here? um I mean, even Anthony's seen results, and he's been in for a minute too. And it's like, once they see the success, they see the potential, they see the real potential. And when you see the real potential, that's when you pretty much want to say, you know what, fuck this, fuck social media. I'll make so much more money trading than I will teaching. So
Honestly,
then,
I just stopped posting because I got tired of people DMing
yeah, and
because it's mostly
exactly.
nonsense too.
Exactly. Oh my gosh, dude. I should show you guys the questions I got on the RCV page yesterday. Literally some of the most retarded things ever. And it makes no sense. And I don't want to say anything on that, because obviously me, since I'm like, the face of this company, like I got to watch what I say. But at the same time, you guys know me. I'm straightforward. Like I don't sugarcoat a single thing ever. I try to get to the point with everything. But just some of this stuff, man. Like I'll read you some. How much entry do you have in a week? What? Let me read through these. Oh, and then not to mention, like, six people asked me about WWA, and I'm just like, bro, like, stop talking about them. They're irrelevant to me. Like, there's just that just goes to show you that there's so much noise, and this is something that not many people know. But eventually, this group is gonna close, and it's gonna stay closed forever. And then whoever's in is in. We're straight. You're gonna be good forever. And whoever's not in is, I'm sorry, man. Because I'm not gonna be teaching forever. Fuck that. Like, I found the system that works for people, but I'm not trying to do this for the rest of my life. I'm trying to go chill. I'm trying to go enjoy it, you know? Just like you guys are, which is why you joined. How often do you see tradable setups using your strategy? Do you trade all your trades with Wyckoff? Hot Cheetos or Tapatio chips? Neither. How? Oh, okay, that
Takis.
was a good question. When's the podcast coming out? That's coming out soon. I didn't want to answer that one because I don't want to give details on that yet. Are you 7-figure trader? How do you take profits on your trades? And it's funny because some of these guys that are like hitting me up, like asking like about the course, they run their own groups. So it's like if they ever purchase it, I'm gonna refund them, and I'm just gonna say leave me alone. We have every right to withhold our services from you. But yeah, I mean, honestly, don't be worried. It'll never get to the point. Um, it'll never get to the point where it's too many people. Oh shit. Yeah, YouTube is coming, but YouTube is for fun. YouTube isn't so we can make money. YouTube is for fun. Like the podcast, I want to do that. Like that's like I genuinely enjoy watching like the Joe Rogan Experience. I enjoy watching Impulsive. Those are pretty much the only two I have time for. But it's like I enjoy like watching them and being able to then do it. That's pretty cool. Obviously, I gotta watch what I say, but it's a really cool experience. Yeah, you see, and Tim is actually somebody that I've seen like it's finally. I told him the first journal that he sent me. It's like just keep going. Once it clicks, you're gonna laugh, and it's starting to click, and he's starting to see it, and then now is when you're starting to pretty much really enjoy it because it's starting to fully make sense, and that's the goal for everybody in here. It's why I even do those journal reviews. Because bro, once you understand like how this actually works, it's actually fun to do. Because like I said, it falls back down to appreciation and just appreciating the fact that you're making money from your computer straight from home on your spare time. That's a different type of satisfaction. And it's yeah, it's just it's those little things. The little things count so much. It's just like I have found a life hack. Why in the world am I gonna try to mess this up for myself? And I've already spoken before on like why I teach and like why I do this. Yeah, you see, like Rob loves it so much because he always tries to flex on me and tries to show better entries than me, and he tags me publicly so that he can just rub it in my face. And it's just like, are you serious, bro? That's cap. Nah, I'm just messing with you. You know I'm always joking around. But yeah, it's crazy. It's really crazy because the cool thing too is like Rav is like you've been in since what, like September? It's almost been a year. September, right? Yeah. So September was that was it's been 10 months. You know, if somebody were to tell you in 10 months you learn something really fucking cool that makes you money from home, they probably wouldn't believe you. Although it has taken him longer than 10 months because he didn't fully start with me, but you get the point. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, now that we're done, just go enjoy the weekend. Your journal should be done. If you're gonna send them to me, you would have already sent them to me. Um, just go enjoy your weekend. And for the new guys, just study up. Like, you guys don't understand that time is your, biggest asset if you let it be. Yeah, man. Let that emotion motivate you in your journey, and then that's what's gonna take you to the next level. As corny as that sounds, it's true. And Sergio can tell you all about that too. But yeah, guys, I mean, I think that's enough for today. More so, just a small lecture and just continuation for Wednesday's webinar. But yeah, guys, I'll probably take a nap.